Thank you. It's a pleasure to welcome you here to Smith Hall and a chance to host this event. It's been, I guess, 3 years in a row that we've had a chance to be the host for this State of the City's address, and it's a great venue for us to be part of the community. And as Miriam said, we really see this as one community and two cities and really one region in many ways. One of the things that the organizers asked me to think about was what's happening with regard to community engagement. And so I'd like us to pause and think back in the last 6 months. And it was less than 6 months ago that we had something called the eclipse. Here in our area, and we were ground zero for that, as many of you know. And the two cities and the university and the entire region really turned out a great welcome mat for thousands of visitors. And I know our campus was a host for many people, and so were the two cities. And we just know that that led to a lot of goodwill because we really treated them like we would like to be treated in our own backyards. And they all had a great experience here, enjoying that once-in-a-lifetime event for many of us. And it was truly an amazing day for those of you who were here. It was truly one of our best performances as a community. And then more recently, our campus was home to the 50th holiday tree lighting. I think this year we had a record with all the help of the communities to bring out not only our campus and our community, but also the communities of Independence and Monmouth and beyond. And we had thousands of people enjoy that tree lighting for the 50th anniversary, and the parade gets bigger and bigger, not to mention the 4th of July parade, which is an annual event, and on and on. So one of the things that I'm most proud of is our efforts as a university to really be an active participant in creating a sense of community. We look forward to working with both cities on the 99 remodel regarding traffic flow. We're hoping to drive more and more traffic up Main Street. I'd love to get our GPS coming off I-5 to take us through Independence and up Main Street and have a chance to drive traffic so that our visitors see both communities as part of the town-gown relationship that we're working so hard. As many of you know, Susan and I have been here just in our third year. I'm seeing more and more of our students wear our gear, proudly wear red and black, and also have a chance to stay and shop in the region. I'm sensing that they really see this as a home on weekends as well as during the school year, and that's one of the things we're working on is ways in which they can see this as home for 9 or 10 months of the year, if not beyond. And those are things that we're really committed to. On your way in, you had a chance to pick up our strategic plan, which was done recently, and one of the main pillars of that is community engagement. And that was done not lightly, but it's the fact that we really see ourselves as a regional comprehensive university. And that means being connected, providing graduates an opportunity to stay in the region if possible, but more importantly, while they're here, doing things like internships and service learning projects. So we are committed to being connected with you. Our Director of Career Services and Service Learning is here, Adri Clark. And so if you have an internship, give her a business card. We're always looking for places where our students can expand their portfolio. It's a piece of what we mean in terms of our students having an active learning environment, high impact practices, internships being one of the best examples of that. So we appreciate the partnership. We know many of you do that already. We are standing with you to help this area thrive and prosper in ways that make it really a profound and exciting place to live and go beyond those, the normal things. This week, final shout out, we have a double hitter in basketball tomorrow. Women tip off at 5:15 and our men tip off at 7:30. They are number 4 in the nation. A couple of years ago, we had a chance to see them go to the Final Four, and they are doing quite well again this season. And so our athletics is really a front porch of the university and the campus as well. And the season right now is basketball. So hopefully you'll see both the men and women get victories tomorrow. They're here on Saturday as well, so it's a home weekend for us. If you get a chance, stop by and give a little bit of support to the Wolves. And so again, welcome to our campus in Smith Hall. And finally, Smith Fine Arts Series. We work hard to be sure that we have fine arts in the community, and many of the volunteers in the room here are on the board, and that's hosted in Rice Auditorium just across the way, and I see many of you at those events as well. So exciting things happening. All of you are participants. Thank you for that, and we look forward to hearing the state of the two cities that we have come to adore and are home for all of us. So thank you.
Good evening. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I want to take a moment. I want to thank the Chamber for continuing to do this. I think this is really an important opportunity to engage with the community. I want to also thank Western, and they've reached out. they've aggressively reached out in the past few years to really connect with the rest of the community. And Rex, I really want you to know that we really appreciate what you and your whole staff have done. Thank you very much. And let's give them a big round of applause, please. You know, in Independence, we've talked for a number of years about our vision as a community and that we plan for the long term and we know where we're going and we work really hard to get everybody on board. We've developed an identity, a bit of a brand that we thought it was finally time to actually put it to paper and formalize it. And so with some help of some consultants, we reached out to the community for their perspectives on independence. And what we got, and I think you'll agree, is validation for the work we've been doing for so long. What people told us is they want a place that feels like home, the kind of a home where everybody wishes that they had, one that has character and community, one that has diversity, vibrancy, and authenticity, one that welcomes you and makes you feel like you belong. Well, I think we've kind of hit the mark on that one. We distilled our community feedback into several statements that we believe embody the spirit of independence. You know, it's not just friendliness, it's a willingness to embrace. Independence is that friend that'll help you when you're in a pinch. Independence is like that big, floppy, fluffy, happy dog that licks you. It's kind of a metaphor. I have Willie the Wonder Dog at home, and that's what he does for me. You know, transparency is important to us. You know, we use social media, live streaming, IndieWorks, our meeting portals, and more to make sure that citizens get the information that they need. We understand that to get people excited on the same page, we've got to get them involved. Our planning and visioning work have paid dividends, and we keep rolling along. Some of those activities are like we're working with the Department of Aviation as they update their plans for growth around the Independence Airport. We've spent extensive time working to make sure that the compatibility between the businesses on Stryker Road and the neighbors, making sure that that fits. We're continuing to plan and implement water and sewer upgrades, making sure that we're both on the right side of the environmental regulations and able to serve the new people and businesses coming to town, not just for today, but 50, 60, and 100 years from now, like the people before us did. We're going to be beginning a new 20-year visioning process this fall because we knocked off everything in the last one in 10 years. The last process had us involve 1,000 people. They actively participated. We got folks on the same page, and they established a really clear path forward that made it really easy to get out and make it happen. Engagement is the key to our success so that we can keep our eyes on the horizon but our feet on the ground. You folks all know that Independence has a statewide and a national reputation for punching above its weight. The secret to that is hard work. You know, 20 years ago, we set out a vision. We made plans, and when we just went out and worked it, and worked it, and worked it. I'm going to do a few shout outs here because every department in the city was involved. Our Public Works Department, you know, they regularly go the extra mile, helping with community events, putting things up, taking things down, help keeping our downtown and parks looking great, and following up on the suggestions that you make through IndieWorks. Our police department, you know, they've embraced community policing for a long time, engaging with the community with Coffee with a Cop, Community Cleanup Day, just to name a couple. And it takes extra work, but that makes our community better because cops become people. They're part of the community. The community knows them. The kids at the schools know them. It's part of the community. It makes a real difference. You know, this year our finance department, we have some folks that worked really hard, and they saw an opportunity and they jumped on it. They were able to save us $1 million in bond financing interest rates. They got in, they went out, they got it done, and that's that kind of creativity. Now, I got to tell you, I'm sure glad they got that done, not just for the $1 million, but because those not very smart people in Congress closed that door with the new tax bill. So other cities are not going to be able to take advantage of that savings that we got through refinancing. But I really appreciate that our finance people were able to do that. You know, it's easy to see opportunity in independence nowadays. 20 years ago was harder, but we invested and it's paying off. You know about the amphitheater, the playground, the dog park, ball fields, boat ramp, trails, and all those kind of things. We wanted to make downtown and the river a destination, and by gosh, it's happening. $20 million River Place development, finished ball fields, which I got to tell you, just makes my heart go pitter-patter on a weekend when I see all those kids out on those ball fields. Even got the road fixed to make it all the way down to the river so you can boat or look at the eagles that live in the nests down there. This kind of development has set the tone. It's paved the way for the $40 million Independence Landing project. That's a new 75-room hotel that'll take downtown to the next level. It breaks ground in the middle of March, 13, 14, or 15. Excitement about this kind of development breeds additional excitement. It's brought in $1.5 million in grants for park development from the state of Oregon and from the Oregon legislature. This kind of activity fosters additional development in downtown on C Street behind the brew. Well, the Youngs, local folks, they connected up with some outside money and they're buying into our vision of the community, and they're going to be opening a 36,000 square foot building behind brew. What wonderful construction is coming to our community. You'll love this one. My wife told me that would get a cheer. Let me officially say Independence Station has been sold and is close to being restarted. I fully expect to see construction this summer. We also approved the sale of the old City Hall to the same developer who already has a brewery as a tenant. This revives our historic connection to hops in our community. When you're optimistic and intrepid, people catch that spirit and the momentum continues. Our downtown's caught on fire, and you know it. There's almost zero vacancy downtown. Buildings that aren't filled right now have tenants signed up, and they're coming in. There's some really special businesses that I want to do a shout out. Melting Pot Candy Company. And the owner, where are you, Preston? Preston's back there. We're talking about a chocolate shop. They're opening Saturday. Not months from now, Saturday. So you can go in and get your chocolate fix. And it's right in the middle of downtown in the Cooper building. So go in and get chocolate. It'll make everybody happy at your house. They're also merit graduates. We helped them grow the program. This is what economic development is all about. And when you taste their chocolate, you'll know that's what economic development tastes like. Taylor's is renovated and it'll be opening soon. There's a wine shop coming in downtown right by the flashing red light. Told you things were happening. Let me put some numbers to this. According to the State Employment Department, between 2010 and 2016, Independence added a net of 22 new employers and over 700 jobs and $27 million in payroll. That's from the State Employment Department. I think that deserves a shout out. Sorry, I can't resist cheering for our city. But it's really nice to see the statistics that back up what we can see with our eyes. Another thing we're really proud of, Independence is a diverse community. 35% of our population is Latino. And we're also a community that is 10 years on average younger than other places in the state of Oregon. Significant. We recognize and embrace the economic power of the Latino community. And we are a community that wants to welcome everyone. We hired a full-time community engagement professional earlier this year. He's done great work in connecting us with segments of the community we don't always hear from. That was a conscious decision by our council to reach out and connect. I'm happy to also say that Independence is one of several communities in the Valley that are inclusive, that have declared themselves to be inclusive communities in our region. I'm proud to have been able to speak at the DACA rally earlier this year to supporting our young people, people from our community. And I believe it's so important that we stand up to rally against those wishing to divide our community. Another shout out, I want to really say how much we value and appreciate our growing relationship with the leadership and the people at the Central School District. This is a critical part of what we need to be truly successful, and we really appreciate the connections that are happening there. What we're doing, you can see that it's working. You're seeing housing growth throughout the community, down on South 8th and 9th Street, off of Gun Club, just to name a few. People are voting with their feet, and they're voting for independence. Now, these are transformational times for our community. How do we adapt, utilize technology, keep up with rapidly changing world and the changing economy? Well, we're working to make Independence a smart rural community, a place that uses technology to create opportunities for everyone. The library jumped on board. Does that surprise any of us? Creating a makerspace to go, and larger community groups are working with the school district on a permanent one. We're excited about that. We want to also thank Pacific Power for utilizing the rollout of the smart meters to help us get the word out about what we're doing. How often do you get in a community of our size to have 3 Portland TV stations come down and do live remotes from downtown Independence? We must be doing something right. Coming up, the Downtown Tech Adventure from 10 to 2 on February 10th. I think that's Saturday. Is that Saturday? So from 10 to 2, the Downtown Tech Adventure. Put a commercial in here. Come and learn about what we're doing. 3D printers, virtual reality, simulators, and hands-on activities. We're also partnering with SEDCOR, the Strategic Economic Development Corporation, the Ford Family Foundation, to hire a rural innovation catalyst who will continue our smart ag innovation work in Independence. In 2017, we jumped on, as President Fuller said, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity presented by the solar eclipse. It was a fantastic opportunity to showcase Independence to folks who would never otherwise have come here. And boy, did they love it. We've got people from all over the world that tracked us. There was lots of great feedback during the event and afterwards. Some even sent in money, and they said they'd be back again this summer. They all want to come back and explore not just Independence, but our sister cities, Monmouth, Dallas, the wineries, the river, biking throughout the communities and the rural parts. They want to come back. Work's already begun regionally with our sister city Monmouth and Dallas and the school districts and Western Oregon University to pursue a similar kind of opportunity of being a training location for the World Track and Field Championships happening in 2021 in Eugene. Many of you know that I happen to be able to represent the United States in the very first one of those, and this is the 3rd largest athletic event in the world. It'll be the largest one in 2021. Think what could happen. Think of the teams that could come to this community and train here, spend time, learn. These school districts have already been talking about how they can connect with athletes and people from other countries so folks can see a bigger view than just their county. What a wonderful opportunity, and it's only happening because we're working together with our partners in the other cities, at the university, and in the lodging industry. So working together, tourism, it really makes something happen. Let's see if anybody takes us up on it. In Independence, we get things done. We care about our neighbors, and we work for the common good. We rely on volunteers for Independence Days, the library and museum activities, park cleanup, and we rely on community volunteers for everything from the city council and the planning commission, to the budget committee, the traffic safety committee, you name a committee, there are volunteers there. And they're all volunteers. They don't make a dime, even mayors don't. And so they do it because they want to make their community a better place and set a pattern for their kids and grandkids and neighbors that community involvement really does make a difference. This last year, we engaged, amongst other things, the AmeriCorps Rare Program to support IDA and foster tourism regionally in Polk County. We're partnering regionally with other cities to fund a homeless coordinator, figuring out what can be done and looking at ways to help take care of a crisis that's happening all over the United States, even here in the Willamette Valley. We don't have a lot here, but it is here. You can't ignore it, and we need to work with it. So we're so proud to be working with our sister cities, Marion County, Kaiser, and Salem also, to try to find solutions and ways that we can move forward. You know, we're still planning for the future. We bought some additional water rights to make sure that we have water, not just now, but 50 years from now. You know, when we were thinking about this, we reflected on the fact that back in the 1950s, before everybody in here was born, that's right, that some people did that work for us and that we're building upon it. We may never need that water during our lifetime, but our city will at some time, and some people are going to be very thankful, and they're not making any more water. So we're working with our community to create a master plan for Riverview Park, and many of you have been involved with that. So we've got lots of planning, lots of strategies, and moving forward. We're preparing for that new 2020 vision, and we're going to make it happen. You know, Independence has received national awards for its revitalization effort, including the All-America City Award, and we're very, very proud of that. And everybody in town recognizes that it's up to each of us to make a difference here. Nobody cares as much about independence as we do, and we care a lot. Independence continues to move forward. We've come a long way. We have a long way that we can go yet, but we've had lots of success, and we're always willing to celebrate. So as you can see, if you love innovation, getting stuff done, family, community, Independence is the place to be. Or as a famous American said, if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, we can achieve it. Independence, making things happen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I was at an awards banquet last week, and City of Independence, as usual, received another award. Congratulations. And after that, someone came up to me because we don't get quite as much recognition sometimes in Monmouth. And they asked me, "Are you jealous?" And I said, "No." Because we're two separate cities, two different geographies, two different demographics, two different revenue sources, two different sets of people, two different sets of ideologies. City of Independence was created on the river. Monmouth was created off the river for a reason. Our original founders wanted to be out of the limelight. They wanted to be able to do things the way they wanted to do them without a lot of recognition, a lot of notice. They were doing things out of the norm. They wanted to educate their daughters. And that wasn't accepted in a lot of communities. So it was easier to be off the beaten path. So that's okay. I love that about Monmouth. Sometimes, I do get jealous when I see things happen. And I wish we had the resources that Independence has. But again, we're a pretty amazing little city. With what we do have, and being home to the Western Oregon University has been a real treat. It just makes our city that much more alive. So one of the things that I look back on is, what's the measure that you really want to look at for a city? What did they form a city to do in the first place? And so this is what I put together. When you flip the switch, the lights come on. When you turn the faucet, the water comes on. When you flush the toilet, or when you flush the handle, the toilet flushes. And when you call the police, public works, or power and light, they answer and come to help. And then when you visit City Hall, and this is like any of our other departments, you're greeted with a friendly smile. And I think that's what all of our citizens want when they come to the city, is they want to be treated with respect and treated like they would if they were working for themselves. Our goals for this past year, we wanted to attain additional street funding. As every city knows, it's been a challenge to keep our streets maintained and paved, and sometimes raising fees is a challenge. The state took a really good, aggressive stance this year and actually gave us a lot of money over the next several years so that we could take care of that. So thank you, state, for helping us attain a goal. And then we want to complete the power and light building. We're still in the process of that. Our hope is that it will get done in 2018. And then we wanted to determine an approach to City Hall. When we were talking about this the other day, City Hall has been a goal to replace, I think someone said as far back as 1965. So it's been on there, and it's been kind of frustrating for some of our City Hall employees, because they're like, it rises up almost like, oh, you're going to do that? And then it's like, oh, no, we did a feasibility study of all our facilities, and we need a new police station first. And so then they got to second place. And it was just like, come on, quit like teasing us. Let's get it done. So that was our goal, to get the approach. It's again our goal in 2018 to get closer to the reality of a new City Hall. And then we wanted to establish a path forward on our urban growth boundary expansion. And we've had some challenges because we have one big property in the middle that's working on trying to get their land into a land trust, but it's considered residential. So at the current point, so we're not able to just go get a expansion on that, because we show that we actually have available lands, but we're working on making that transition. And then we wanted to monitor the ODOT plan for Highway 99, and we've done a really good job of monitoring that. As the commercial says, I monitored it, so then you kind of walk away. Well, now ODOT's about ready to actually start to do the work. You may have noticed on Highway 99, I think there's Northwest Natural has actually started to do some work there on Jackson and 99. So you may see some of that going on in the next few months, and then ODOT should be doing some sidewalk work over the next several months up and down 99 from Gwen to Church. And then the following year, we'll be doing some more work on repaving that. So what were the significant decisions we made? In December of 16, we had a citizen approach us at a work session and said, we want Monmouth to be a sanctuary city. And they were quite emphatic that we become a sanctuary city. And when it came to the discussion, the council was kind of like, well, you know, Trump just got elected and it looks like they're going to like take federal funding away from sanctuary cities. And we were like, well, we don't get much federal funding, so it won't hurt us. But there was still the idea that people were going to come because they could hide in Monmouth and be illegal and be undocumented at the same time. And that's not what sanctuary cities were. But we kind of had a little resistance among the councilors of actually saying, let's be a sanctuary city. So we approached some of the people who were doing it and said, can we look at it a different way? For years, I'd been trying to say, how do we create a resolution to be a welcoming city? And so we started to put those together, and people started to come from the university, from the community, and actually tell stories and not tell us what to do. And when they told us their stories of why they were here, the struggles they were having, the fear they had because of the status they were in, the country of origin wasn't home. Here was home. And it was like, I don't want to go back there because I don't know anybody there. When I speak the language, they laugh because it's not native anymore. And so we started to hear why they wanted us to change, why they wanted us to say that we were inclusive. And we worked on that resolution and got it put together. But it was a work of several different groups, university groups, citizen groups, that came to us and actually helped the city councilors see what was going on, rather than just, because as councilors sometimes, and as the mayor, it's like, I don't want to be told what to do, but I want to know why you want us to do it, and it makes it easier for us to make that decision. And so that was how we got to the point of doing the inclusivity resolution. And when we were first approached on that, it was, can you do it? And it was more of an immigrant language that they had in the resolution that was presented to us by Causa. And we said no, but as a city with a university that brings in people from all over the world, we wanted to be inclusive of everybody. We have Ron Wilson and PCL who deal with people with developmental disabilities, with physical disabilities. We wanted to make sure that everybody, whether it was a person of color or a person of disability, regardless of nationality or sexual orientation, we wanted them to know that Monmouth was a place they could come and they could feel at home. Because so many of the people, and I've worked with it for years in progressive organizations, that a lot of people like that don't always feel at home. And that what I would like for Monmouth to be is that place where they just truly feel I'm home. That I don't have to worry about who I am or what I am or where I came from. I'm just a Monmouth resident. So then we, after we got through that, then we had to look at our budget. We were having some challenges in a couple of departments, so we did a reorganization in the police department. We had been a chief and sergeants and then patrol officers. We moved to be a chief, a lieutenant, and 3 sergeants so that the sergeants could get more involved in the day-to-day work and get less out of some of the administrative work. But what that meant was we had to add more money to the department for another officer. And it was a challenge because in these times it's like hard to add more money. And we found ways. One of the things that we also did, you'll see at the bottom, we created a utility license system for right-of-way management. And in doing that, we were looking at how the utilities were going to pay for basically a franchise fee. And as a city with our own utilities, we do it in lieu of fees that we move from one department. So it's like a tax. But we'd been keeping that fairly low. So what we decided to do was bump that up a little bit more so the utilities are actually contributing a little bit more to the general fund than they had in the past, which allowed us to do, add the police officer, but at the same time, we kept our rates the same. We didn't have to raise our rates to get the officer. We didn't have to raise our rates to our users to get the officer. So we've made some things where we really have, over the years, tried to be really efficient with our money and really cognizant of the impact that it has on the cities. Then I want to jump over to some of the significant events. Mayor McCardle kind of touched on some of them. I'll just tell you that the solar eclipse, from the time I was a little kid, I wanted to be where a solar eclipse was. And I'm like, man, I just can't afford to go to Iceland or Australia or New Zealand or Africa or wherever it's going to be. And 5 years ago, someone came to me and said, you know, the eclipse is going right over Monmouth. And I'm like, oh, cool. You know, finally, it's like I don't have to go anywhere. It's actually going to come right here. And then they showed the line of totality, and I was like, oh, man, like almost right over my backyard. And when Independence started their activities, Dallas started their activities, we said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to do a concert on the Sunday night before the eclipse, and we're going to bring a tribute band in, and everyone's kind of like, oh, man, what are you going to do? Like, you know, everybody else is doing all these big things, and nobody will come to Monmouth. And I just want to tell you that walking up and down Main Street the couple days before and the couple days after, all of our businesses were like, we don't know what we would have done if you'd have brought more people to town. They were swamped. They had the best days. Some of them that had been in business for 18 years had the best days that they'd ever had. And so it was a real big economic boom for us. I think for me, one of the most exciting, other than witnessing the eclipse, was I was sitting in my backyard, and I'm just a couple blocks from downtown Monmouth, and the university is north of us, and Main Street Park was full of people. And as soon as the eclipse happened, and you saw it in the video, I mean, just the cheer that went up when the eclipse happened, and then when the diamond ring came back, and then the cheer that went up, you could just hear the whole town just, I mean, came alive more than it had ever come before. And it was just so exciting to know that there were, like I said, people from all over the world were all over the valley. And it was just exciting for an event. I think the only other time I experienced that kind of community, I was in Los Angeles for the 1984 Olympics, and everybody was worried about how chaotic it was going to be. And when I would go to a store or I'd do something in Los Angeles, everyone would go, what event did you go to? What event did you go to? You know, did you see this? Did you see that? And it was, all the negativity went away. And that was so much fun about this festival around the solar eclipse, was that all that negativity went away. Everybody was happy. Everybody was excited about what's coming on. Nobody was worried that we were all going to get drunk and tear down the city like Philadelphia. You know, it was like so exciting to be part of something that was so positive, so energetic, and that when people came, they were excited, and as they were leaving, they're like, oh man, can you do this again next year? And I said, if I could, I would, but I just don't have that power as mayor yet. And again, we've 4th of July activities, a lot of fun around that. We did some reorganizing a few years ago, and so our Main Street Park has gotten a lot more activity over the years. Our Music in the Park series continues to grow. Just so you know that even though Mark Fancy is no longer with the city of Monmouth, he's still our Music in the Park band coordinator, production agent, I'm not sure what you call it. Even from New Orleans, he's doing it remote and giving us the same good service. President Fuller talked about the 50th anniversary tree lighting. That was exciting. It's fun to see how the communities are really pulling together to make things happen. We've planted a lot of trees. We sold 2 buildings, and we've put that into a fund that's set aside for our new city hall, so that it's earmarked specifically for that, so that we can add to it. In new residences, we had 4 duplexes come in, 3 multifamily units equaling 21 housing units, 18 single-family houses, and then we've got a new unit going in on South Warren. 31 housing units are under construction right now. So we're growing. Then I think one of the biggest changes is this bottom one. 3 department directors choose to, one moved on, 2 retired, and it was like really good employees. And when you have good employees that move along, it's always a challenge. Who are we going to get to replace them? And it's exciting. We've got 3 great people who have come in to replace. We've got Barbara Hogan from the Senior Center, who's here tonight. Suzanne Duffner, who we got away from the city of Dallas. And Janet Chenard, who we got from Oregon State University. All great people. So Janet's our finance director, and Suzanne is our community development director. We're really looking for great things that they can bring to us. And so it's exciting. You know, I talked to someone earlier tonight. It's like, even though Mark Fancy and Mark Dunmeyer and Sue Teal have all moved on, we weren't worried about trying to replace them because we knew we couldn't. There's just no way you can bring identicals in. But we really look for quality people that could help move Monmouth into the future. So our business environment, one of the things that happened several years ago with our urban renewal agency is we did facade grants, and people started improving the look of the downtown. Our occupancy rate is like 95, 99%, something like that. There's like only 1 or 2 vacancies in almost all of Monmouth in any buildings that are built. New businesses are coming in. But this last year, we added 10 new businesses, and we didn't lose any of the previous ones that had come in from the years before. We're starting to see businesses now that are celebrating their 10th anniversary, their 15th anniversary, their 5th anniversary. And we look forward to this group of businesses adding to that. We've got several more businesses on the way. If you guys get a chance, check out the grain station. It used to be Jay's 99. I was in there when they first opened earlier this week and talked with one of the employees, and they made sure to hang on to as many employees as they could from Jay's 99. They didn't just let them go and then bring in a whole bunch of new employees. The new employees are going to be on the evening shift, but all the regular employees that you've known from Jay's for the years are still there during the day. So to me, that's a mark of a really responsible business owner. And again, we look forward to a lot of new businesses. One of the things that's challenging about new businesses in this new environment is sometimes we have to make really hard decisions. And probably on that, significant decisions, we had to do some legislative amendments on our zoning code. And because of Measure 99 or Measure 91 that had been passed on the marijuana. And there were a lot of citizens who were just like, man, we just don't want marijuana in our town. And it's hard to make that decision. And our counselors wrestled with it. And we made the amendment so that the business would come in. And all of a sudden we saw like 4 new businesses come into town in a short period of time. And everyone's like, oh, how are they going to support that? Well, we don't know. We'll find out. We'll let the market do what it does. But I was here when we changed it so that alcohol could come into town. And I remember, or alcohol sales could come into town because alcohol had been in town for a long time. In fact, marijuana's been in town for a long time. It's just for sale now. Legally for sale, not on the black market. But there were people in the beginning who said, oh, if you do alcohol, just be drunks laying all over Main Street Park and there'll be this problem. And we've done things where we've allowed the university to be able to have tailgate parties before the games. We've allowed the beer gardens at some of our events. The library puts on a wine and poetry reading. And has really helped us shift the library to where it's a lot more activities for more than kids. And that's what we're trying to do, is find places. The senior center isn't just a senior center, it's a senior center and community center. It's one where we want the whole community to feel like it's theirs. We wrestled with the expansion a couple years ago, and I talked with Ben from the fire district earlier this evening, and one of the things that I've tried to change my language in what we do as cities and how we bring enhancements into the city is, there's a lot of people out there that are like, no new taxes. Well, one day I saw Craig Pope at a meeting, and we were going around introducing ourselves, and I said, oh, I'm the tax and spend liberal. And Craig just kind of laughed. But how I see some of our taxes is actually investments and not taxes. Because if we don't sometimes take the money that we have and put it into our infrastructure, put it into new facilities, put it into a riverfront that was underdeveloped and derelict in the city of Independence, the money that's going in there is an investment in the future. It's an investment in us. And I think that's one of the things that Monmouth and Independence have always, we've done it, but people don't always realize that you could call it an investment. Kind of went off track there a little bit. But that's what's helped us grow, is that we continue to see a value in ourselves and we invest in ourselves. Monmouth also has invested in some new technologies, or maybe they're old technologies and we're just catching up. We finally have the ability for people to go online or come into City Hall and pay with a credit card or debit card. And that had been something that people have been asking for a long time. The library has just added radio frequency identification chips to all the books and all the materials in the library, so now you can self-check out. You don't have to have somebody at the counter that you have to wait in line for. It's a lot quicker to get in and out. Our building department is in the process of adding e-permitting so that people can do that a lot quicker and easier. Public Works is now installing smart water meters. We've had the smart electric meters. We started putting those in like 2008. We'd like to know how you get TV cameras into town. John, if you could give us a clue, we'd take you up on it. And then our police, and as well as Independence, both have started using body cameras. It was a couple-year process, looking at what equipment was good, looking at policies, looking at storage policies, looking at how people want to see it and get evidence from it. And so all that had been gone through, and in the beginning of 2017, our police department was able to implement the body cameras. We have a lot of community involvement. Usually it's about this time of year we do our volunteer recognition for the members of our boards and commissions. In the past few years, we've had like 70 to 80 people that come to that. Our historic commission has been working on identifying historic buildings and getting plaques put on those so people can go around. We've got a mobile app that has a walking tour of Monmouth, and it includes the university buildings as well, so that people can see where and how Monmouth grew to be what it is today. Our tree board is always active. I think we just celebrated our 15th year as a Tree City USA. Parks and Rec, we've actually completed a lot in our master plan. They're going to be looking at updating the master plan for the parks and looking at the new capacity that we'll have and what we can do to improve what we have done. The library board continues to just keep the library stable. We've got one of the top libraries for people checking out books and loaning books to other regional libraries in the state. And again, our senior center and community center is adding new activities all the time. I know that one of the things that we've actually kind of tasked Barbara with is, how do you make it more youth friendly? And how do we change it to where it's not everybody over 70, but we can get on down from there. And when we've done our, a piece that's real active with our senior center is the Friends of the Monmouth Senior Center. It's a 501c3, and they do a lot of funding of the things around there. And they've been continually doing a first Saturday of the month breakfast. It's $6 for all you can eat, and they've raised a lot of money doing that, and it's fun because you see everybody in there. You know, I think if you get there real early, it's a lot of us that are a little grayer, but then as the morning goes, then you'll see the younger crowd coming in, and you just see multi-generations that are coming to that breakfast. So we're really engaging everybody. Through our visioning process or an engagement process, we found four key things that people wanted in the community, and so we created a bike ped committee, a university community connections, our business and community, and then a meeting places. And our meeting places kind of wrapped itself up because it's created a directory of spaces that people can have meetings in that you wouldn't normally think about, or that, like parks, and what's the process if you want to reserve that park or if you don't have to reserve that park, to really help people utilize the spaces that we've got in town. The bike ped has been looking at a lot of different things of pedestrian-friendly, safe routes to school for bikes. One key one that we're working on right now is a bike campground at General Woods Park right off of 99, right across from the police station. That's been a really fun one. We've done a lot. There's a calendar that's gotten the different entities connected through that. And we're looking at some other future things of how the university and the city can really start to look at how do we take advantage of the things that are going on. There's a lot of activities that happen here on the university that aren't university activities, but they're people who are utilizing the facilities, the spaces that are here. And sometimes there was like a big volleyball tournament for a bunch of volleyball clubs this last weekend. And the businesses on Main Street didn't really know what was going on. But Saturday morning, a lot of the parents were like, we need some place to go eat. And so they were flooding the businesses that were open on Main Street. And it was like, where are you guys from? They're like, oh, there's a big volleyball tournament over here today. So those are the kind of things we really want to get connected so that when we have people coming from out of town, for whatever reason, coming to the university, but that they know that there's also resources that are in the city that are available. Over the years, I've walked my dogs, and there'd be, I don't know which direction to point. Out by the baseball field and the softball fields and cross country, we'd be doing something, a bus driver would pull up with a bunch of people, and they go, man, we're out in the middle of nowhere. Where do you go for coffee around here? I said, well, you walk about 2 blocks that way, and there's like 4 different coffee shops. And they're like, really, where are we? I said, well, you're almost in downtown Monmouth. But because they would come in on Hoffman, they had no clue that they were right in town. And then the other thing that we're doing to help engage citizens is we've started town hall meetings. So again, sometimes it's the small things that we do that don't always get recognition. A lot of people have been asking for a safer way to cross 99 at Madrona. We put a crosswalk in there to help them, but there wasn't enough light, so at night people couldn't be seen. There was a light on the east side of 99, but there wasn't on the west side, so we put a light on the west side so that whole intersection, is lit up now, so that people can be visible when they step up to the curb. One that we just started is a warning system right now, but we're going to work on answering the plea from our downtown businesses to help with parking. So we're going to start working on doing some parking enforcement of our 2-hour. The other thing the city does, and we hadn't done it for a long time, and then we started lighting the downtown at Christmas time for the holidays and started making it brighter, and people wanted to come. And that's one of the things that we're really trying to work on with our college and community committee is how do we make Monmouth a destination for the holidays so that they can come and either like create a Main Street Park lit up where they can do a walk around there through the lights and see some stuff, and then come and have wine and dessert at Crush, or they could have hot chocolate or coffee at Rick's, or they could have ice cream at the little ice cream shop. And so what we want to do is create that environment where they want to come to Monmouth and that there's activities. One of the things that was real exciting is India Commons started a challenge for the food drive, and our police department got motivated. And they ended up, through the police department and through the city, over 2,000 pounds of food from the city of Monmouth for the whole drive, there was over 3,000 pounds total. I mean, it was exciting to watch, because I would go in other businesses, Monmouth and Independence, and they're like, oh yeah, we're competing, we're gonna get, and they would set themselves a goal. And it was just another one of those times when we do things in these two cities that's just, people want to do them, they get excited about them, and they're fun. And it brings us together. Because of being here on the food drive, one of the other organizations that I just love in this community is the Monmouth Independence Food Project, which is more typically known as the Green Bag. And those of us that have been participating in that, every other month you put a green bag full of food out on the front porch, and they drive by and pick it up, and it goes to the food bank. And it's pretty exciting because Thornton Chiropractic is the one who picks up our part of the neighborhood, and she'll send out an email about how much they picked up that weekend, and it's typically anywhere from 2,500 pounds to 3,000 pounds on every other weekend, not total, but over each weekend. And this community is just really stepping up to take care of the people that aren't always taken care of, or that don't have the opportunities that some of us have. And I think that's the thing another one that I like about this community is we care about everybody. And there's not a lot of communities that always do that, or they don't effectively do that for the people that are having the challenges in life. The other one that the police department participated in was the child abuse awareness activities. Well, they opened up their meeting room, and they had the kids making pinwheels and drawing stuff, and it was on a Wednesday, early release from the school district. Thanks, Jennifer, for continuing that. And the kids, I don't know how many kids they had through there that day, but they must have had a couple hundred kids come through there to participate, and their parents brought them in, and it's just that awareness of that there are challenges in life, but we can go places and find help for them. Then again, what Mayor McCardle talked about, we also did a refinance of our debt right before the deadline, and we were able to, for Monmouth, save on the MyNet debt plus one other, a little over $1.1 million for our citizens. And so for the MyNet debt, that was huge because it saved MyNet from debt service of $2 million. So if those of you who are like, you guys aren't working hard enough for MyNet, we're working hard. Big changes are happening there. So the future things, and a couple people talked about them already. The resurface and sidewalk work on 99, we're going to be doing a lot of that work, sidewalk work, infrastructure work this summer, and then the following summer they're going to come in and resurface the street. 51, we're still kind of up in the air. It was one of those where they gave us an estimate on it, and then they came out and looked at what the reality was, and they realized that there were some grade issues, that there are actually some front yards that are lower than grade, and it was like, how are we going to put sidewalks and drainage? And so that one's having a few challenges. Again, the new power and light facilities, we're really looking forward to getting those in, and when those get in, we'll be able to do a lot of work with our public works, where they can actually find some breathing room to move in and upgrade some facilities. And then again, we're really looking forward to a newer remodeled city hall that meets our needs, meets earthquake safety for our employees. And again, the measure of Monmouth. The lights come on, the water runs, the toilets flush. Our employees answer and come to help, and you're greeted with a friendly smile. Thank you.